Here on Book Nook, we do two different types of series, or at least that's what I want to do. One is all about obscure series from the past. We covered that last time with Angel Corners. The other half is series that haven't been around for that long and are so recent that I'll only try to talk about them if they're relevant to current events. And for the last decade or so, there's an ongoing current event which is pretty big with readers. It's called Wings of Fire, and it is probably one of the best popular series still out now. Still waiting for book 16. I bet it's going to be epic. Anyway, the author in question who wrote all those books, Tui T. Sutherland. And let's just say that most of her work I found is out of print, at least according to Wikipedia. And the only things that aren't, and the only things that she did prior to Wings of Fire that I'm not covering here, is one of the books in the Who Was series, also known as Who Was Harry Houdini. Apparently she wrote that one. And a few of the Seekers books, written under the pen name Aaron Hunter. And there's a brief 3-book series called Avatars. And I don't think it has anything to do with James Cameron's movie or The Last Airbender. So I have no idea what it's about. But yes, they're out of print too. We are talking about the series in between that and right before Wings of Fire. And it's one of those few times I can say that I was a fan of the author before she was fairly popular. Now, the only reason that I knew her before the Wings of Fire series is one simple fact. I just love dogs. So when you give me a book with my favorite breed on the cover, oh, you bet I'm going to read it. I'm going to read the hell out of that thing. So, yeah, one of the few series I actually started at the beginning. This is Pet Trouble. And one of the things that Sutherland's writing style is all about, one thing about her, she's the queen of the run-on sentence. And at least that's my nickname for her, because that's her writing style in a nutshell. And what that means is she will write on the page how some people will talk. And pretty much they talk in their own train of thought with little to no punctuation at all. And just random, yes, like that. Like she'll actually write that pause I just did in there as, capital pause. No one else does that as far as I know. But it does give her books a unique flavor. And I noticed that in Wings of Fire only because she does it in this series first. Like, I think it's most prominent in the 5th one because Heidi does that thing where she talks a mile a minute. I think I noticed that in like Peril's book, but they don't have the same personalities, but they do have the same kind of train of thought writing style. And I was like, okay, so yeah, that is her style. But this is where it came from. So, very quick, book by book. Runaway Retriever. Most of these series are about kids getting new dogs, but there's always something wrong with them. Always something that just, there's little obstacles to overcome, not clashing with the dog's personalities, or the dog's just not clashing with them and causing them a lot of trouble. Runaway Retriever is this dog who's an escape artist. That's why they call him Merlin, because he escapes pretty much like magic. Obviously, I would call him Houdini, and that is kind of a joke in the book. But I thought for my first impression of the series, it was really good. And this one I got later. This is number 2, canonically. And here's the thing. In Wings of Fire, sometimes you go back to events that happened in the past, but they're usually told as sort of a flashback. Like, these things were happening in the background that you didn't know about during this particular time that you already know about. You know, fantasy writing. But this series makes use of the from a different perspective type of, yeah. So you got scenes from both these books, like, from different perspectives from each of the characters. And the scenes are in both the books. The same scene. Like, almost word for word, just from the different perspective. I just always think that's cool when it happens. And to my knowledge, this is the only series I know of where that happens. This is one of my favorite books in the series, to be completely honest. Because, I don't know, the main character lives for music. And she's kind of an underdog. She never wins this talent show, like, every single year. And she really wants to. With the help of her dog, she does. It's amazing. I just like underdog stories like that. With a literal underdog. Yeah, literal underdog. Because, you know, Beagle. And I love music stories, so it's one of my favorites, for a good reason. Next, we got Mud Puddle Poodle. This little girl gets a dog. She wants a prissy poodle. Instead, she gets a poodle that loves rolling in the mud. Most dogs do. Although, I'm not really sure if poodles like to do it that often. Because, yeah, mostly they're white like this. I mean, you can get a black poodle, like, sometimes it's just not as common to see. Quick disclaimer, I'm not racist against poodle colors, okay? I mean, my old friend has a toy black poodle, or I should say had. You know, sad story. But she was actually pretty hyper, and she was still really kind of cool. And she did not roll in the mud. She was every bit a perfect, precious princess, her literal name, that the little girl in this book actually would want. So, you know, when all is said and done, dogs love to do things that we, as humans, don't really approve of. But, you know, everyone has different standards. Here comes my second favorite of the series. And the second one I read. Yeah, I read these out of order. Why? Blame Barnes & Noble for that. They have the books I get into, and sometimes they don't have them all at once. So I had to get these at a later date. I really don't know if I went back to Barnes & Noble and got them, or if I had to special order them. I really don't remember. But at the time, when I first saw this series in stores, it was the first one and the fourth one. And this is probably, I'm going to say it, this is probably my favorite in the entire series. I mean, not because I like bulldogs specifically. Bulldogs, I just kind of take them or leave them. Because, I mean, look at them. But it is the first story I've seen with kind of an abandoned dog. Like, at the beginning of the story, this guy is left outside of the vet's office in the rain. And in the end, he helps defend his new kid, his best friend, from evil cats and his evil sisters. And, like, can it get more perfect and justifiable than that? I just love those kinds of stories. Next, we got one of the few books that I actually special ordered from Barnes & Noble itself, like when it was new, because I wanted this so much. This is Oh No Noof. It's probably the most awkward title of the series because, well, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, that's his name. No, the dog's name is Yeti. I was like, wait, isn't his name Noof? Believe it or not, I have never heard of a Newfoundland until this book. Because, I mean, who would? Unless you read the original Peter Pan. Because apparently he wasn't a Saint Bernard, or she, I should say. Nana wasn't a Saint Bernard in the original book. Which is something I learned from this book. Because the main character is so obsessed with dogs, she knows every little tidbit about every single breed. And I'm like, power move. Power move. I would love to meet someone who loves dogs that much in real life. I mean, I know y'all are out there, but so rarely get to see that expressed in book form. A dog lover that intense and that knowledgeable about everything. Smarty Pants Sheltie. Quick trivia about this one. This dog is named Jeopardy. And the reason why is because Tui T. Sutherland did a 3-day stint on the game show Jeopardy and actually won over $40,000. First author I've ever heard of going on a game show, but God, that's a nice sentiment. And you know what? I'm going to say this is my third favorite book. Now, I mean, it has a new character. I mean, within the series, they're all kids that live in the same neighborhood. They're all friends. This is the first time they've introduced a new character to the canon of the other books. Like, this kid just moved in, and with this embarrassing dog who he doesn't want anything to do with. But it turns out the only reason she's hyper, because, you know, he gets embarrassed when she's hyper and not paying attention. The only reason she's hyper is because she misunderstands everything he says, even though she's super smart. But it's just the way he was doing it was wrong. And it took the shy girl from the loudest beagle on the block to figure it out. And I'm like, wait, is that in character? I'm like, you know, I don't know. I don't care. It's just such a fascinating story. Bad to the Bone Boxer. My least favorite. And it's not because of the breed this time. Because boxers, okay, they're a little more cute than bulldogs. And a little less cute than Rottweilers. This dog has a chewing problem. As in, he chews every piece of furniture the family has. And I can actually get into that problem. The problem with the book for me is I don't really care about the main characters. Like, at all. You win some, you lose some. These main characters just didn't click with me. And last but not least, Dachshund Disaster. Me personally, I like wiener dogs. They're extremely cute. And actually, I think this is the first time that I ever saw a realistic depiction of one, like anywhere in media, because in our town we don't get that many dachshunds. I mean, we see a lot of medium-sized dogs, but we never see the sausages. And yeah, until I saw the cover of this book, I'm pretty sure I thought that every single dog like this looked like Slinky from Toy Story. But that's just me. This dog has a digging problem. And in the book, it makes it clear that that is a very dachshund problem to have, because a lot of them have specific digging instincts because I guess they're gopher hunting dogs. Yeah, that's another thing about this series. Unlike Wings of Fire, which engulfs you in like fantasy lore and morals and stuff. But these books, they actually teach you stuff about dogs. And I just think that's amazing. All in all, perfectly sound series. I already gave you sort of on my rankings, but to recap, the first one's pretty great. Second one is pretty much one of my favorites. Third one I can tolerate. It's good, but not great. Bulldog Won't Budge, one of my favorites. Oh No Noof, very interesting read just because of the character alone, and very heartwarming and kind of, very good moments in there. Smarty Pants Schulte, okay. Bad to the Bone Boxer, my least favorite, like I said. And Dachshund Disaster. Pretty entertaining. I say if you're going to read any of these books, you might want to know your favorite breed ahead of time. Like, I mean, there's only 8 books. They can't cover every one of your favorite breeds. But, yeah, that's why I read the first one first. Because at the time, Golden Retrievers were my favorite breed. And I collected these books when they were new, like when they first came out. So we're talking at least almost 20 years ago. Because these books were written, well, actually, the first 4 came out in 2009. And the second set of 4 came out in 2010. Which means that there's only a 1 or 2 year gap between the end of this series and the beginning of Wings of Fire. So, there you go. This is a series that Tui Sutherland did before Wings of Fire, and she got really, really popular in mainstream. And I think the reason this series didn't get much attention afterwards is because, well, you can see dogs every day in real life, but when else are you going to see dragons talk to each other and save the world? You know, only in books. Or movies, if you're desperate. Yeah, for some reason, dragons are always better in books than movies. I'm always disappointed by the movies. I really hope that Wings of Fire TV series is the most excellent thing I will ever see. I'm counting on you guys at, what, Amazon Prime, I think, is making it? Yeah, I'm counting on you. Make it work. As for Pet Trouble, I don't think it has a TV show, but if it would, it'd be one of those slice of life things. And it'd be very heartwarming and very mellow, but still really cool and funny. And that's the skinny. Sorry, I'm not good at slang. That's the lowdown on Pet Trouble. And I hope you check out this series if you haven't before. Like I said, it's not as epic as Dragons, but if you like stories about kids meeting their perfect dogs, I mean, you couldn't get more perfect than this. You really couldn't. Unless you're, 6 and you're reading The Puppy Place. It's kind of like this, but kind of a little better. It's, older kids, but, take what you can get. And that's the Book Nook for this week. I will see you next time.